Autism spectrum disorder affects how an individual processes information and interprets the world. As the prevalence of autism increases, so do efforts to understand and provide assistance to those affected by ASD. The Autism Society of Iowa is part of a nationwide association that has been providing information about autism since the early 1970s. For information about services available to Iowans affected by ASD, please note the contact information for the Autism Society of Iowa at the bottom of your screen. With me now is ASI Executive Director Kris Steinmetz. And Kris, tell me if you can briefly, what is the mission of the Autism Society of Iowa, and why is this personally of importance to you?
The Autism Society of Iowa provides advocacy, support, and information to individuals with autism, their families, professionals, and those in the community. And it's a volunteer board of 24 people with family members, adults with autism, and also professionals. We have a monthly e-newsletter that goes out that is autism specific for all of the events in the state and trainings. We also have their different support and family events throughout the state. And we have a website, autismia.com, and they can find out all of the information there and also get signed up for our newsletter. And it's very important to me because it was one of the first organizations that I got involved in when my daughter was first diagnosed, and have been a part of it now for 23 years.
All right, we want to bring in former Lieutenant Governor Sally Pederson, who's worked tirelessly serving on boards and helping establish programs that benefit people affected by ASD. And Sally, tell us maybe what work you're most proud of and your personal connection as well.
Well, my personal connection is I also have a child with autism. He's 33 years old, so I've been involved in this effort for a long time. And I think one of the things I'm most proud of is the creation about 20 years ago of a nonprofit organization called The Homestead. And it originally was set up to provide a living and learning center for adults with autism in a rural setting just east of Des Moines. But it has now expanded and grown to serve really several hundred people with autism, both children and adults. And it serves them throughout the community with job training, with housing in communities around the state. But it is also providing services to hundreds of children who have autism to help them with their educational goals.
We saw in the documentary Spectrum, A Story of the Mind, it focused very specifically on sensory perception for people with autism. What was your reaction to the film? What did you take away from it, Sally?
Well, certainly sensory perception is one of the issues that people with autism have, but you know, if you're a parent, you might see that film and not recognize your own son or daughter. Communications and social skills are really two deficits that almost all people with autism have. So my son has some sensory issues. For instance, he's very sensitive to sounds. And that's part of his issue, but probably social skills and communications are bigger deficits in his life.
How about you, Kris?
One of the things that really resonated with me was the parent, the mother, who talked about meeting milestones and how sometimes we can really get caught up in trying to accomplish those milestones, because for our family, my daughter taught herself how to read when she was 2, but it took years of speech therapy for her to have some meaningful communication, speaking. And so we learned early on, like that mom, that they will reach milestones whenever they want. They each have their own unique path through life, and if you've met one person with autism, you really have only met one person with autism. So it's, you know, that I think is always important for us to keep in mind, even as parents of adults. They're still learning and they're still doing things their own way.
What are some simple accommodations for sensory issues that may affect people with ASD?
Well, for instance, my son works in an office and he's sensitive to the sounds around him. It might be someone in another cubicle next door who might be humming. And so he wears headphones and listens to his iPod while he works. And that's just a simple accommodation. The other people in the office don't mind, and it allows him to focus on his work.
Anything else, Kris, that you want to add to that?
Yeah, my daughter always likes textures. And so, you know, if she wants to sit down. She always likes to have a blanket on her, something that's heavier and something that she can always feel. And she's very calm during those times.
How is early diagnosis of ASD important? And then once it is diagnosed, what are the next initial steps?
The next step is you can access early access through either your school district or area education agency, depending on the age of your child. And in Iowa, we have a new program, the Regional Autism Program through the University of Iowa, where families can start to access services and receive help while they're on a waiting list to get a diagnosis, which sometimes the waiting list can be somewhat lengthy. And so that program has started now to help bridge that gap.
And as I mentioned, the Homestead is one of the nonprofit agencies in this state that provides this applied behavioral analysis training. They have centers in major cities around the state. Children go there to get special education services, and they work with the local schools so that those same strategies that work for children with autism to help them learn can be used both in the school and in the home.
What are some of the vocational and occupational opportunities that are available for people in Iowa living with autism?
Well, you know, it really runs the gamut. A person with autism might have a real strength with, say, mechanics and motors and might be able to be an automotive mechanic. They might have real computer skills or math skills. So the range is pretty wide. They might not have those kind of skills, and maybe the best job for them is sacking groceries in the local grocery store. So it runs the gamut, but oftentimes there needs to be an accommodation. And I think one of the places that we have yet to make real strides is with employers, for employers to understand that with a small accommodation, you maybe just restructure a job slightly. A person with autism can do that job and do it well. My son, the job that he has in an office is to scan documents, shred paper, deliver the mail. These are jobs that maybe other people find repetitive and boring. He likes repetitive jobs. And so, you know, he's doing something that maybe other people don't find interesting, but for him, it's really something he enjoys.
Opportunities out there, you just have to find the right fit.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about the University of Iowa REACH program that you helped create.
Yes, it's in its 10th year. They've had over 100 graduates, and this is a post-secondary education program that's designed specifically for students who have cognitive disabilities. So many of the students have autism, but they might also have Down syndrome, brain injury, multiple learning disabilities. They've come through the special education system in our school, but when they finish high school, they're really not ready yet to get a job and live on their own. Like a lot of young people, they need a college experience to gain those additional skills for independent living. And so this is a 2-year program at the University of Iowa that is tailored to those needs. These students learn independent living skills, they learn job skills, and they have an opportunity to do internships. So they get a little bit of a resume building to boot. And the students who have graduated from the program, over 80% of them are employed.
Kris, time for a little bit of an Iowa update. There's some good news. A bill passed through the legislature. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
I sure can. After years of autism advocates hoping for an autism insurance bill, this year one did pass unanimously in both the House and Senate. It's an insurance bill that would provide applied behavior analysis funding on a tiered system, so the younger you are, the more funding you would receive up to age 19. And that is now going to the governor's desk.
All right, Kris, Sally, thank you very much for sharing your personal experiences with us and for giving us an Iowa update on some of the services available for people affected by autism. For further information, contact the Autism Society of Iowa.